So thank you both for coming out today. That was amazing. Did you all like it? Okay, yes. So to open up, what I would like for you both to do is tell us a little bit about yourselves. We know you're from Florida, and from what I read online, how you all got started is y'all teachers had a bet with the band teacher and the orchestra teacher.
Yeah, that's my story. Yeah. So I wanted to play the sax, and they put me in the wrong class, but I didn't find out till like 2012. It was actually a bet that the band teacher had with the string teacher, and obviously the band teacher lost, and I got switched to orchestra instead of band. So I was real mad when I found out that. It was just like, I really want to play that sax. But it worked out, black saxophone just don't got the same ring to it. Just don't sound right. So, it was, I don't know. For me, when I first wanted to play, I was really excited about playing, and I went up to the band teacher. I was like, I want to play, and I guess the string teacher was in the same room, and I guess they saw my enthusiasm, and they were just like, I want that kid, so, they betted on me, so it's all good. It worked out.
Yeah, my story is different. My mama made me do it. Never wanted to play this instrument in my life. I remember coming home with it, and the boys in the hood were like, "What's that? You playing violin now?" I was like, "Oh man." So mad, but it ended up working out, especially, I went into a performing arts middle school and then got into performing arts high school, and then we met in high school in orchestra class about 23 years ago at this point. And, for me, it was just this class I was taking. I never thought it was going to lead into this, and it really wasn't until we got kind of nice on it. And obviously, we look like this, so, we're big black dudes, so no one expects us to play it. And that was like my favorite part about it, is just that I go in a job interview and be like, hey, they were like, what you studying in college? Oh, I'm a violinist on scholarship. You really? You're hired. I'm like, for real? Like, it's almost like if you're a violinist and you're like a doctor or like an astronaut. It seems like something very hard, and it is hard to do. But it was really when we started like noticing that people would change what they think of what we are, that we really felt the power that the instrument had. And then that's when it really just was like, we were like, how can we mess people's heads up with the idea that we look like this? We are classically trained, but we can come and bring something different to it and change people's perceptions of what we could do or what a violin could do or anything, and it makes people think that anything is possible. So that was the thing that caught us, that made us really stick with us and trying to like do something different with it.
And then what inspired you both to like mix hip hop and classical music together?
I don't know if it was definitely not something we woke up one day and said, man, it'd be cool to combine these two genres. We were hip hop before we were classical. We were just the product of our environment. We grew up listening to hip hop, reggae, calypso. So for us, hip hop is about expressing yourself, and we just had these violins. So it was natural for us to just do whatever that dancer was doing after she or he was doing ballet, then he starts breakdancing or whatever. That's just what they did. As a violinist and as a violist, you're just not taught to do that, you know what I mean? But, we're hip hop, so we just gravitated to just being able to hear a beat on the radio and pick up the violin and viola and just start freestyle on top of it. It just was natural for us to do, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how it came about. It was nothing that I think for anything, if anything, hip hop had a lot to do with it, just because naturally, if you're in that world, it's just about creativity, man. It's about expressing yourself, you know what I'm saying? And we just did it with this instrument that we knew. We didn't think of it as like, man, it's never been done, because this is before Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, nothing exists, you know what I'm saying? So we didn't see this happening, and then we thought about it. It just kind of just naturally, organically happened,
So, Kev, you mentioned you love surprising people when they see you play the violin, right? So, like, what challenges or, like, setbacks did you all have when you first started out?
Well, at first when you say, like, we're from Miami, so you imagine in 2001, and we're like, my manager goes to these clubs in South Beach when we starting to figure out, if we put violin to, like, say, Jaquan Tipsy or, like, Destiny's Child, because that's what was out back then, or anything Ja Rule was doing, all that kind of stuff, right? So if you put violin to all of that type of stuff, people would just go crazy. We're like, man, we see this, but how can we let everybody know what it is? So we would go to these clubs in South Beach, and my manager would be like, yo, we got these 2 black kids, they got violins, they're gonna kill this. And they would just laugh us out the door. They'd be like, violins is South Beach, what you talking about, violin? So, we had to like show and prove constantly. That was the only thing about it, is that we knew we had something really special, but it's one of those things that even you guys who are in the room, maybe you saw a video or whatever, but then when you see it, it's like, oh, okay, I get it, So it's like, we know that if we get in front of you, then we're gonna get you. So it was all about like, how many people can we get in front of to show them this passion and this new thing that we're doing. So we'll be in front of these clubs when they say no, and we'll just pop open the trunk and turn on the radio and just start vibing. And then we just get an audience around us, and the promoter come out like, oh, this what you talking about? Oh, come back tonight at 10. Like, we'll see you there. And then we just kind of slowly had to prove what this is every single time, especially, like you said, MySpace was like just about to come out. Like, there was nothing to really blast to the world what we had, but we felt in our heart that it was something that we're doing and is unique. And so that was probably the hardest part, is about convincing people, and still to this day it's hard to do it. Tomorrow night we're in Dayton, Ohio, and there's gonna be 20-30% of the crowd that has never seen us before. They're like, oh, I like violin, I like hip hop, I'm gonna see it. And then we have to convince you that this is something that was worth your money every single night, every single time. So we're still doing it, and still trying to, make people understand what we are, So that's always the hard part, is when you do something different, no one knows how to and take it or sell it, or where do you even put our albums on iTunes? Where do you, like, nothing? Like, we can't even quite, we don't, when you don't fit in a box, it's harder in some ways, but you're unique, so then you create your own path. But so definitely coming up, that was the tough part, is trying to fit in these people's boxes.
Anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, we just decided to break the box down, just do what we do, and just be unapologetically who we are, And it was difficult, but 16 years, 17 years later, we're still doing this, and we're just gonna continue to do it, man. Like, it is what it is.
So you said every day you had to show and prove and just create your own box. So throughout the journey as artists, like, how did you create your sound? What was that like?
Like Will said, it's very organic. We grew up listening. Well, we grew up in high school, and we went to fame, but it was like a black fame. Like, everybody there was just like, from the hood, but we all either danced or was in visual art, stagecraft, in the choir, and a lot of amazing artists that have come from our school. We went to Dillard High School of the Arts, and but like Jason Derulo went there, like just a bunch of people, like there's a bunch of like singer-songwriters that are behind the scenes that went there. So for us, it was always like in us, I think. We studied classical, we had these classes, and the teacher made sure we went. But then after class was over, I was listening to 36 Chambers. I was listening to that new Beatnuts or that new Missy. I was like, what, she got a garbage bag on her? What's Timberland doing? Like, we were just really enamored by that. Like, Will was always playing Brian McKnight on the piano. He was always into like the soulful stuff. And then like me, I was always just like, I wanted Missy. I just wanted beats. I was just into beats, and I wanted to make beats and do everything with beats. But we just happened to be studying this instrument at the same time, So we were able to put it together in a way where we feel like we don't alienate either side, and it's very, very natural. Like the song we just played, like that, it is the easiest song in the world for us to play, because it's just us being us. And I don't know. So we just really grab onto the authenticity and try to be genuine, and we just make what feels good, and people seem to gravitate to it. So we don't really even put too much thought into how our sound comes. It is us, and it's just how we speak when we have these instruments and when we making beats. So.
And have you had any issues with like the industry trying to change your sound at all to fit into different audiences?
Yes. We had a label situation. We were signed to Universal, the classical division of it, and at first, this always happens. Where it's like they see you and they love you and they're like, yo, we want to sign you and project your music, blah blah blah. And you get in the studio, and there's this producer that is trying to produce you in a way that it's not you, and you just like, okay, I'll try this out, but it ain't really me, bro. But then you go along with it. Next thing you know, you got an album. You're like, I don't even understand what this is. Like, did I sing this? You know what I mean? So a little bit of that happened with that album. We fought a lot to get certain songs on the album. This is Stereotypes, by the way. That's the album. It's still a dope album. Go get it. But take the stairs first, because But anyway, so it's still a great album. We had to fight to get a lot of the stuff because literally, we had like a session in New York for like 2 weeks, just banging out songs, right? And we hyped. You know what I'm saying? We come back home, we listen to the stuff, and we're just like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? So we literally got real upset at it, and we went to the studio in Miami and just banged out 2 songs that were like, listen, I don't care what you guys do, these 2 records got to be on this album. And the first record we did was Stereotypes, because it's a self-titled album. That was the first track we did back home, because that's who we are. It was really easy for us to do it too. It took like literally 30 to 45 minutes to put that record, you know what I'm saying? And it was just very cool. And the other stuff on there, a lot of it is us, but it's like this, right? We have a brand, we have a vibe, and we have a sound, and a lot of stuff that I love to listen to isn't necessarily what we are. You know what I mean? And that happens, man. Where people try to change you, they try to put you in this little box, man, and it's frustrating because it's like who you are, what you your value. You know what I mean? And they're just like, but no, do it this way because they're gonna, no. I don't care if people really vibe us. Listen, we've been doing this for a while, and granted, people love what we do, and we're thankful for that. But we're not gonna change who we are, man. Just to sell records and whatever. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, this is bigger than us. It's a movement, and we come across that, and honestly, and that's why we're independent, 100%. And we've always been independent, except for that one album, But yeah, man, it's we come across that, and it is what it is, man. You got to just know who you are as an artist, because if you don't, you know what I'm saying, you're going to be walking to different situations, and at the end of it, you're like, I don't even know who this person is. And that goes with anything. It doesn't even matter if it's art. It could be anything, man. You just got to know who you are, represent who you are, and not be afraid of losing or not be afraid of not winning. What is that anyway, winning? You know what I mean? So it's a struggle, it's a battle, especially dealing with the music industry, because the music industry will, man, you just gotta know who you are, because they'll eat you up and may not spit you out. It all depends on what your value is, if they can use you, So yeah, we come across that a lot, but this is who we are. We're gonna stick to it no matter what, and this is how we've always been, you know what I mean? So, and it's, it is what it is. Don't tell me I can't do this. What's wrong with you?
Thank you for sharing that. So with that, you're on album number 3 now. So how has 4? Sheesh, I missed one. So I've been listening to him since 2017 when I seen y'all in concert at MSU. So how has the transition been from being signed to becoming fully independent and producing these other albums?
Well, we started off completely independent at the beginning, and then we were like, independent's cool, but, we want to depend on somebody for a little bit. So we went and signed, and then like Will said, the story is kind of, it changed us a little bit, tried to change our art a little bit. It's on us too, though. We allowed it to happen, I guess, but we were trying to, feel it out and see how this worked. But it's great being back to independent. The new album we have out is called Take the Stairs, just came out November 1st. And that album is just like kind of a breath of fresh air after just working with Universal and doing stuff. So now we're back to, we do what we like, what feels good, and that's it. And nobody else can't tell us nothing. It's not about, if we put this album out or put this song out, then it can chart on this chart. We don't care. We just trying to make dope music, and we want to be 100% true to us. And we know this album is that because now we get on stage and we have 13 songs on the album, and we playing 11 of them on the show. And that's what it's supposed to be compared to other albums in the past that wasn't like that. But we just love it, love being independent. Obviously we're businessmen too, so we love owning all of our music. That's always great, so if anybody ever wants to use it, they got to come to Will and I, and we have to say yes, and we get the check and all of that. So, but then at the same time, there's nobody to depend on when you need a little bit of money to go to Europe to build the buzz or whatever. But we'll take it, man. We'd rather be independent and do our own thing, and let the chips fall where they may,
And then for those who haven't listened to any of the albums, what's different from Take the Stairs and the other 3?
Growth, you know what I'm saying, as artists, as people, as men, I think we poured a lot of our experiences to this album, which We have in the past, but not to this level. And also another difference is the records, the songs on there is just kind of like different in a sense that they can live in a lot of different places. Like I could see a lot of these records being on the radio, and because we never really did that before. We literally just kind of and we didn't necessarily focus on that for this album. It just happened to be like, man, we got some some records that can really like do some really that can really hit on Billboard, but not necessarily caring about that. But that's a difference. And like I said, as men, we grew a lot, and you know, we both between us got 6 kids. It's a lot of kids. There's 2 of us, so he got 3, I got 3. So, but yeah, so we grew as men, as artists, and I think this album really shows that. You know what I mean? And as artists, all you can do is just grow and just project your growth and who you are into your art, and that's what this album does. You know, for me as a vocalist and playing the viola, I've grown quite a bit, and I had to really stretch myself out as a vocalist. I'm a vocalist now, I guess, because I'm such a violist, you know, at heart. So I had to come to terms of this whole vocal part of it, which I've always have, but you know what I'm saying? When I lost my voice real bad like 8 months ago, and I was just like, okay, I gotta really take lessons and stuff. Goodness. So yeah, so it's definitely a growth, man. We've grown quite a bit, man, as artists, as people, and it's all over this album, and it's a beautiful album. I mean, there's songs on there I think that can really. This album is really meant for people that, you know, because when we first started working on this record, we took the word hope, and we put it on the board, and we wanted to kind of like portray this idea of hope in a way that wasn't necessarily preaching, right? It was just like, we want this song to really be something that you can go to and feel like you can just run through this wall and do anything, you know what I'm saying? And that's what this album is about, and it definitely did that. And we had to pull stuff out of ourselves, because being an artist, sometimes it can be a bit, you know, you want to kind of be in your own little world, because it's like, you know, you put yourself out there. It's kind of like, just think about you guys coming up on stage and telling people about your lives and your experiences, right? It could be kind of nerve-wracking, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's, as artists, that's kind of what that is, you know? And that's what that album is. A lot of it is just us really just, you know, there's this one song, One Step to the Future. When I perform that particular song, you know, I think about the struggles, just all the things that I've gone through in the last couple of years, and I just want to break something, you know? But in a good way, not like, you know, damage it. Just like, sometimes you just want to, you know, vent a little bit. And there's records on that album that really, you know, does it for you. Don't go breaking stuff, but if you want to, it's your stuff. Go ahead, break it. But yeah.
Okay. Really quickly, what are your favorite tracks, if you had to pick one?
It's like asking which one of my children is my favorite. You know, well, One Step is definitely a great song. There's a really powerful video coming for it. It's tackling a bunch of stuff where we're tackling police brutality, we're tackling, you know, school shootings, and we're also talking about immigration, all in one video. But the song is super hopeful. But the video, honestly, kind of displays sort of like maybe a more realistic, you know, view of it, you know, just kind of where is the hope in some of this stuff. So so One Step is definitely a song that stands out to me. There's a song we have called Serenade. We would love to try to play it for you, but it's hard to do it without the full band, so can't play it. But Serenade it's Dvorak's Serenade for strings. So it was written probably, I don't know, about 170 years ago. And we took it and we took a really classical version of it. And so it feels like someone's conducting it. It'll feel like, you know, New York Philharmonic's playing it, except there's a trap beat underneath it the whole time. But it can actually live in a classical setting because of the way it moves and flows. And to me, it's one of my favorite songs we've ever done. It's just, I feel like we should have been doing this a long time ago. We've always tried to take classical and conform it and make it hip hop. So we'll make it just stick to the beat, and then we'll just chop it and make it live in it. This time we put the beat and we let the beat kind of flow with the music however it was going. And it's like, we should have been doing this. So that's the only thing, but that song stands out to me. And then you want to throw in another one that you think?
Yeah, that's definitely up there, man. I mean, when I heard that final mix, man, I listened to that song like 100 times straight. It's just amazing. But there's another song that's dope. They're all dope, by the way, you know. Away Home. There's a song called Away Home. Yeah, that's.
It belongs in a Disney Pixar movie.
Yeah,
It does.
It sounds like the end of Black Panther 2.
Right,
I'm just
right.
saying, make it happen.
It's one of those songs, man, that I feel like can connect with anybody and everybody. It's like such a global song, man, and it just really it resonates to me, and just the drums, just everything about it. Just man, it's just a beautiful song. Go check it out, Away Home. That's my favorite on the album. Yeah, that's my favorite. Yeah.
And then right before we go to Q&A, could you all just tell us a little bit about the foundation?
Awesome. Yes, I'm glad you asked that. We just started a foundation. So basically, we play hundreds of shows a year. Yesterday was, I think, 114 or 15 for the year, and there's still a bunch of cities coming. So we live on stage, truly. And when we perform, we have we normally either play a kids show in the morning, like tomorrow we're in, where are we? Dayton, Ohio, and then we have a kids show at 10 a.m. So we load in, play a full show for them, and it's like we mix like Cardi B and Mozart together. We do all kind of stuff to get a group full of like assembly kids at a big theater just going. And it's a light show, all that type of stuff, right? So, we like to perform for kids. That's one thing. Then in the middle of the day, we're going to have a youth orchestra come and we're going to work with them and do a workshop with them on our stage. And then we're going to teach them a song and they're going to end the show that night with us too. So in a day, we've performed for 2,000 kids, and then we've also worked with, 20 kids or so, string players, hands-on. Then they get to perform a show with us. So that's, so that's one way that we work with kids. The second way is we are part of the Turnaround Arts. It's Kennedy Center kind of endowed charity, and there's a bunch of people like Usher is one. There's a bunch, Misty Copeland, Yo-Yo Ma, just all kind of crazy actors. So everyone that's a turnaround artist gets awarded a school, and then that's our school. So we go there a bunch of times a year, and our school happens to be in South Florida, so we get to, we live in South Florida, so we get to go over there all the time, get to build with the kids. We know them by name, everything. And not only are we working in a school to make sure that arts education is first and foremost, but we also go to like meetings with the superintendent when they're trying to cut money. We also there's just more of it's not just like artists at a school, it's deeper than that because of the Turnaround Arts. So we're part of that. And we actually had the opportunity to bring our young kids to the Kennedy Center to open up the Reach, which is this new building at the Kennedy Center. So we flew 25 of our kids from our school up there. It was crazy. So that's a second way we do it. And then the third way is the Black Violin Foundation, which is really trying to connect dots between them all. So when we meet these kids, like there was a kid yesterday in Columbus that one of the ladies was telling me about, and she was like, this brother is so talented, and I hear him. It's like he needs a nicer violin, though, because he's about to go to college, and he needs to, figure out, where he's going to audition or whatever. And we're like, boom, that's where Black Violin Foundation comes in. We can help, maybe get him a grant for something, or we know this violin maker that can lend him one for 5 years, whatever. And then we come in and we try to connect those dots. And, because there was a lot of things like, we worked hard and all of that, but there were a couple of little things in high school that made us get to a place where we can even consider this. And for one, like Will didn't have a viola and our teacher bought him a viola. I remember it was like yesterday. And in this world, you need a nice instrument, like to sound like anything, And then also we was broke, so we didn't have no private lessons or nothing. So, and we had never had private lessons the whole time we were playing. But when you're trying to audition for college, you gotta get certain things right. So got private lessons, and he made that happen or whatever. So there was like those couple of things that allowed us to get the full scholarship, that allowed us to figure this out, And we want to be able to continue to do that with our foundation and be able to help kids, help connect the dots with these kids. And, so we're looking at, for anybody that's from 12 to 20 that, wants to apply, go to blackviolinfoundation.org. And we're hoping to give out 25 to 30 grants next year for whatever, whether you need a computer to make some beats, whether you're a painter and you need canvases, you ain't got no money for it, or whatever it is that you need. We're trying to be able to be kind of a place that you can connect some dots and make some things happen.
So with that, the reason why we were able to bring them here is because Will's wife is my mentor. So we onboarded the Black Violin Foundation into Go Give, so you all can go on there, donate to the foundation. She's going to be coming in February for a program we're going to do with a bunch of nonprofits. So Black Violin Foundation is going to be there. So now we're going to move into a few questions before they go and perform.
Thank you so much for being here today. Really inspiring to hear the music. So my question here is, you've had opportunities to, I've done a little research. You had opportunities to, play at inaugural balls, play at Billboard Music Awards and things like that, play alongside Alicia Keys. I'm wondering, how do you stay grounded as you continue to have, all of these successes and achievements? What keeps you connected to where you come from?
The stairs. We took the stairs. Yeah. That's literally what it is, because we've been offered so many opportunities to play on America's Got Talent, right? And they've been calling us for years and years, and they haven't called us in 5 years. Good, but
no, they actually called last month for the next last season. They still call. Yeah.
And because to me that show doesn't represent us. You feel me? It doesn't that's not a show that we did. We did Apollo, right? Apollo's a legendary stage. Michael Jackson performed on that stage. Legends, James Brown. So we did that back in 2005. We won. That's cool. But that show just didn't represent us. We felt like that's kind of like trying to take the elevator. You know what I mean? And we wanted to be able to control what we do and control our likeness and everything. So we took that journey, man. We're still taking that journey, man. And that's what keeps us grounded, man. When you climb up that 17 flight of stairs, and you get up top, man, you like, yo, my knees, my leg, my thighs, you feel it, right? But at the end of the day, you're stronger. You can appreciate all those stairs that got you to that level, and then can't nobody tell you nothing, and it's hard not to be grounded after that. You feel me? And that's why this album is called Take the Stairs, and that's literally what it is, man. That's what keeps us grounded. That's why, to me, if I'm talking to you guys, it is. I'm gonna talk to you guys, but this is Will Baptiste here talking. I'm not trying to be like anybody. I'm not gonna wake up in the morning and try to put a face on. This is me. I may pronounce things wrong. I do not care. You know what I'm saying? I think ultimately, man, for you to be free in this world, bro, you gotta just be you and just don't care. Because think about it. You sitting around thinking about what other people are thinking, that's a lot of weight on your shoulders. It's just stressful. And man, I don't like that. I don't like that kind of stress. And for me, that's how we were able to get to this level, man. Because, we came there's a lot of challenges. People say stuff to us. Listen, we don't know if this music if it's gonna work. I don't know. It's, whatever. We're gonna do it. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make it happen. And that's just what we've took that attitude, and we've still taken that attitude, and it's kept us grounded, kept us moving, give us strength and made us stronger.
Yeah, and if not from that, let me go back to your question, where you said, because we played Billboard Awards with Alicia in 2004, and that was the first time we had ever met anybody like that or performed for anything like that. And I remember, as far as keeping us grounded, Alicia was really key in that, because that was the first person we ever met that was at that level, and she had just had won 10 Grammys or something. She was at that level at that point, and we were playing on the tour Karma. With there's a wicked violin lick in it. And I remember when she met us and when we met her, and she was she just looked at us in our eyes. She was so humble. It was really, it took me aback, how humble she was. And she was just like, hey, nice to meet you. And the way she asked, how are we doing? How was everything? She saw us on Apollo, la, la, la. And I was like, man, she really, is so humble. And I'll never forget it. Every time I see her, I tell her about it, because it kind of taught us humility and how to be, And we've worked with a lot of other artists, too, since then. But it was great to have Alicia first. And then the other thing about staying grounded is that I remember how amazing that was. We played Billboard Awards, and it was the first time we did anything like that. Beyonce was, right there. We're like, what? This is crazy. First time ever doing anything like that. And then we finished the show. My mama calling me, I just saw you on TV. I literally just got off the stage. She's like, I just saw it was live, And then I was like, man, we met Quincy Jones. All this stuff happened. It was man, we was on a high. And then we went home to the house, and the lights was off. And it was right back to reality. We ain't, we think we got it, but we ain't nothing. We still got to pay these bills.
Gotta keep it grounded, man.
We got to pay these bills. So I think that's why how we stay grounded is because it took us a long time to get to this level. So we appreciate every part of it. And even if tomorrow Black Violin is a household name, I think we're really equipped to handle whatever comes with it, because we've been doing this for a long time. But that was an awesome question.
Hi. I'm not sure if this is okay or not to ask musicians, but what does it look like when you want to create a new song? What's that process? How do you get inspired starting something?
Yeah, it happens so many different ways, man. And we worked a lot of different producers. Sometimes they'll bring just music and they'll play a beat, and there's a beat we connect with. We're like, oh, that's hot. We literally will hop in the booth and just boom, the song is done. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it happens that way. Sometimes we start off with the violin, like for instance, like Virtuoso is a song on our second album. And it started off with this violin lick that he's always playing, and we're just like, yo, just play that lick or whatever. Then it just started from there. You know what I mean? So it all depends. We try not to limit ourselves when it comes to being creative, man. However it flows, whatever the feeling goes, we go with it. You know what I mean? Like Serenade, for instance, the Dvorak song or whatever. That he's always talking about that song. We played it one time in the studio with Salam Remy, and he played it. And we're listening to it. I'm just like, that'll sound dope. Some 808 and some subs. And we get in the studio the next day, and I pull out my MPC and I started playing a beat to it. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, that song happens. So it all depends on how it happens. And sometimes we get a song, like a full song from a writer producer, and we love the song. But we have to make it us, right? We got to make it fit us. We got to put the violins. We got to change certain lyrics. One Step was one of those songs where we loved the song, but we really had to make it ours. You know, we put the piano in the middle of it, and we just really had to make it us. You know what I mean? So it all depends. But at the end of the day, if it's the feeling and the vibe is what drives it, and if it goes whatever direction, we follow. You know.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're trying to create an emotional response of some sort from everybody when you finish listening to the song. So, one thing that I've learned lately, where before I felt like we used to try to make songs, and sometimes they'll come from, like, thin air. Now I try to focus it more, like almost as if you're a stylist and you're about to style somebody and you give them a style board, and they'd be like, okay, well, these are certain things, maybe we're gonna do layers, we're gonna do this, that, and that, and that, because otherwise we're at the point creatively where we could play anything on the violin. Like we really could just anything at all. So sometimes I try to focus it. So it's like, I have playlists, or thank God for Shazam. Shazam is like, I find things and I'm like, ooh, I like this progression, or I like, the tempo of this. And then we come up with something else based on that. But now I find that it's easier for me to come up with things when I'm inspired by something compared to just like, I'm gonna sit down and make a song. You know what I mean? I'd rather have a few things on the board and be like, all right, these are the things I'm focusing on when creating this at this moment. And to me, it makes it easier, as any creative individual, to kind of come up with something when you almost have like a style board, so to speak, So.
Thank you for your questions. Before you all play, anything you want to add before we end?
Well, first of all, thank you guys for this opportunity. This is absolutely dope. Just be able to come over here, on a day off and be able to rock with you guys. This is amazing to be able to do it. The reason why we're here is the foundation. So, definitely go blackviolinfoundation.org. We're looking for applicants, sponsors, donors, volunteers, everybody, anyone that wants to help out with this mission. And then, of course, this amazing album, Take the Stairs, that it really feels about like hope. And it's, we're going to play you like 3 songs from the album right now, just to kind of give you guys a vibe of where we're going for. But it's about hope, and it's the kind of album that, if I ask you what kind of music you listen to, you say, I listen to everything. Well, perfect, because this album is everything. It's just like funk, jazz, R&B, hip-hop, rock. It's got elements of all of it, but they all connect and they speak to each other, even though it's multi-genre, I guess. So Take the Stairs is out now. Go get it and support blackviolinfoundation.org. True.
Thank you.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please welcome Black Violin.
This next song is called Dreamer.
Because I'm in a room full of dreamers. Think about your dream right now. What you think about it.
Put your hands together like this, come on.
This is the day when I finish the race. I make it somehow, no matter how long it takes. This is the day when I go all the way. I make it my own and say, here's to the dreamers. Put your hands together, come on. Cheers to the dreamers. Hey, here's to the dreamers. Where's all the leaders? Hey, yes, I'm a dreamer. This is the time when I make my own eyes. Gonna reach out my hands and pull down the stars. This is my time, it's been coming so long. I see it now. Hey, here's to the dreamers. Put your hands together. Hey. Cheers to the dreamers. Hey, here's to the dreamers. Where are the leaders? Hey, listen. Yes, I'm a dreamer.
See, sometimes we can't say, I can do that.
Do we have any dreamers in the building? If you're a dreamer, make some noise. That's
I
right.
can have my dream.
I got big dreams.
That dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible. Let's say that together, please. Say, it's possible. It's possible.
Here's to the dreamers. Hey, cheers to the dreamers. Hey, here's to the dreamers. Yeah. Where are the leaders? Hey. Yes, I'm a dreamer.
I need everybody to stand up for this last song if you don't mind. It's the last one. That was awkward, but I get you. I want y'all to clap your hands like this. Come on. Come on, guys. We see you guys in the back. Come on.
There's a moment when you realize all the things you said were lies. Hey, you gotta open up your eyes, 'cause we were made to fly. We can do anything, come on. We shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They see us no matter where we are. Hey, 'cause we got the fire. Oh, 'cause we got the fire. Let's show the world the impossible is possible. Let's show the world the impossible is possible. Oh, hey. There's a moment when you understand. You don't gotta follow all the plans. Hey, you gotta open up your hands. Don't leave it up to chance. We can do anything, come on. We shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They see us no matter where we are. Hey, 'cause we got the fire. Oh, 'cause we got the fire. Hey, Kev Marcus, talk to him. Let's show the world the impossible is possible. Let's show the world the impossible is possible. If you believe, keep clapping. Let's show the world the impossible is possible. It's up to us to show the world the impossible is possible. We can do anything. We shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They see us no matter where we are. Hey, 'cause we got the fire.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate the love.
We got the fire.
Once again, we got Black Violin. Thank you for Google. Thank you, Myya. Take the stairs, baby.
Black Violin.
Thank you guys so much, man, for being here. Thank you, Google, Myya. Thank you for making this all happen. We love y'all. We appreciate it.